Have you ever thought about bringing the golf clubs along on that next great cruise vacation? Stay with us as we check out two great options for doing just that. My guest today is Larry Jackson, owner of Cruise Holidays of Viera, located in Melbourne, Florida. Together with his wife, Linda, they have been meeting the needs of their clients in and around Florida and across the country for 20 plus years. Hi, Larry. Welcome back to RTE Travel Talk.
Ken, hi. It's glad to be back with you.
It's great to have you with us, Larry. Larry, we get a lot of questions from our viewers and listeners about being able to schedule rounds of golf on a cruise. Now, I know it's theoretically possible, and I also know there's actually a couple of cruise lines out there that kind of cater to it. But I also know that you're an avid golfer. So
Right.
I know I had to come to the right person today to find out all about golfing on a cruise. So what can you tell us, Larry?
Well, I'm an avid but bad golfer, but I really enjoy the sport. Golfing on cruises presents a lot of challenges. I guess the number one challenge that we have is the clubs. No problem getting them on board. You know, to protect yourself, you probably want to carry them. But the problem is storing them because our cabins, as you know, we can bring as much luggage as you want, but it's just where you're going to put it once you're on board. So that's a challenge. Another challenge are the golf courses where we're going. We're often cruising in third world countries and even in the Caribbean, where occasionally you will see golf tournaments from like the Bahamas or whatever, but the majority of the golf courses are not what we're used to in the United States or Canada.
Okay.
Prince Edward Island comes to mind, some of the most beautiful golf courses in the world there. Now, if I'm cruising up there, that's a whole different ball game. So finding a place to golf is the next challenge. And then tee times are not a problem, but getting to the course and back to the ship is another of the challenges. So basically getting the clubs on board, storing them, getting to and from the golf courses are, I guess, our major challenges.
It takes quite a number of hours to play a full round of golf.
Right.
I can't imagine that that's really conducive to these short port stops as well, right?
Yeah, that's true. And now, one little caveat, we are seeing more and more excursions from the larger cruise lines that include a round of golf.
Right.
But often there'll be one or two at the most in a 7-day itinerary. So for those, rental clubs will probably be what you're going to be doing. And yeah, you'll have enough, we're talking maybe 6 hours to, get to the course, play for 4 hours, but you really shouldn't be playing that long and then get back to the boat. Right. So that's not a big problem. But again, in the Caribbean now, I'm seeing more and more excursions being offered by the cruise lines that involve golfing. In Alaska, there are a couple of stops that offer golfing also, but the courses up there are just kind of made up kind of courses that are only, it's just so I can say I played in Alaska. It's not really,
right,
for something you're not going to go up there and shoot your personal best up there in Alaska. So Caribbean and Alaska, we're starting to see more and more excursions being included with rental clubs, and that negates a lot of the problems we just talked about.
Now, you're an avid golfer. I would fall into the category where my time in the course kind of starts with swish and then followed by an couple of expletives, deletives. So is rental clubs a thing? Like you can rent clubs fairly easily, and to you as an avid golfer, is that something that works okay for you?
It does for the most part. Again, we're in third world countries. Rental clubs in the United States are very, very good, expensive, but very good. And so you can have an enjoyable round of golf doing the excursions. I think for excursions, it's probably more for places in the Caribbean where you've already been and you don't want to be out sightseeing. And I know a lot of people, when they go to the Caribbean, they want to, I've never been to this island. I want to do a tour. I want to snorkel or things like that. So I see golf as more and more becoming one of the options as people go back to these destinations and they're looking for something different to do.
That makes sense.
So I would say, on your normal large market type of cruise, look for those excursions. And again, I would go with the ship's excursion on that. I wouldn't do independent excursions in those areas because I just would trust that they had done the research on the course, clubs, and things like that.
Exactly, exactly. So I gather there's a couple of cruise lines that we know of that have it as as an option and a bit of a specialty. Which ones are they, Larry?
Okay, we have basically two cruise lines. One is a river cruise line, AmaWaterways,
Okay.
who you and I have known for many, many years, an outstanding cruise
Yep.
line. They offer on their 7 night, one of their Danube itineraries, they offer the ability to play up to 4 rounds of golf
Wow.
on that cruise. They will store your clubs. They will take them to the course. They'll get you to the course. They also include lunch at the end of the round, the greens fees, and things like that. So it's a very good program that they have. Now, the disadvantage to that is usually you're on a river cruise to go see those places. And so, you will have missed you will have missed about half or 2/3 of what you came to see, unless
Right.
I guess you'd been there before.
Right.
I kind of see this as for really avid golfers who maybe have been to the Danube before, whose wife wants to go back and doesn't play golf and wants something to do with the husband, so they shunt them off on golfing. So that's where I think the river cruise golfing would happen. The courses are all spectacular courses. They all are host different not PGA, but European Golf Association events. The one in Budapest is the host of the Hungarian Open.
Wow.
The one in Slovakia hosts the Slovakian Open, but that might be 4 Slovakian golfers that show up for the Open. So I don't know how we don't have a lot of world-renowned Slovakian
Right.
golfers here on
Right.
the PGA. But anyway, it is an option. Now, it is not cheap. 4 rounds works out to $2,400 in addition to everything else you pay on the cruise for the 4 rounds. So that works out to about $600 per person per round. That's a little pricey for a lot of people. But again, if you want to say, hey, I went to Slovakia and I played at the course where the Slovakian Open was held, then AmaWaterways and their golf program on the Danube would be the way to go.
The scenery is going to be spectacular, no doubt.
Yeah.
And quality courses. So you kind of probably just have to weigh the advantages versus the disadvantages, I would expect.
Exactly, Ken. That's what you're looking at. So again, it depends on, have you been there before? Why are you going?
Yeah.
Are you going to see the history and the scenery? You have to keep your partner happy. And, maybe she wants you to be out there playing golf and not bugging her about missing being at home and playing golf.
Right. And the flip side of that is perhaps you and your partner are both golfers. So.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So the other one, the other major golf program that we have, and this is by far, I think, the best, and it's Azamara Cruise Line, which, as you know, is a cruise line that has smaller ships. They concentrate on destination cruises, and they offer a golf program in conjunction with an outfit called Perry Golf, Perry. Now, Perry Golf is kind of the talc of golf, of the golf world as far as travel is concerned.
Okay.
They do land tours in all over the world, and they're especially strong in Ireland and Scotland. So they do like a 7-day land program where you go and play 5 or 6 courses in Scotland, and it is a complete turnkey operation. They do the same in conjunction with Azamara, and they do them all over the world. They do them in Africa, Japan, Asia, the Mediterranean, Ireland, Scotland. There's, I think, 22 different cruises with Azamara in conjunction with Perry Golf. Now, what you need to do to find these cruises is you need to go to Perry Golf's website, which I think is perrygolf.com, and they'll list land and cruises, and click cruises, and it'll tell you the cruises that are available. I do notice on their website, they don't tell you if the cabins are available. And I'll give you an example. In August, we're doing an Ireland intensive cruise with Azamara that's been completely sold out for about 6 months now.
On the cruise side or on the golf side?
On the cruise side. Perry Golf is still listing it as golf.
Right.
So I know it's not possible. So that would be my only caveat. Perry Golf is a complete operation. They have staff on board the ship to basically handle the clubs. What you do is you get off the ship, get on a bus, arrive at the course, and your clubs are in the cart ready to go. They do events for all the golfers on board the ship, a welcoming cocktail party. They arrange little tournaments during the golfing that you're doing. And it is really, this is, if you're going to take the cruise to play golf, then Perry Golf and Azamara would be the way to go.
Is your number one choice?
Absolutely. That's if you're going to play golf. If you're going on a cruise and you're playing golf as a sideline,
Yeah.
it is pricey. It works out to about 700 in Ireland. It works out to about $750 per round per golfer. But you get a lot with Perry Golf. You also get lunch, wine, and beer on the golf course. You're playing the very best golf courses in the countries that you're going to, and especially in Scotland and Ireland.
And speaking of the very best courses, now over the years, we've seen a number of events that they've done with the Open.
That's correct. Yes, and you're right, Ken. That is one of the things that they do is that they there is one cruise that when at the end they do have a day at the Open. So that's for those of you who are not aficionados. That's the British Open. In America, the Open is our Open. Over there, it's their Open, but the Open is the oldest continual tournament in the world, and really, I think, probably the most prestigious. So
I was wondering which way you were going to correct me, because I got corrected on I called it the British Open a little while ago and got corrected.
No, you are correct. It is the Open, but Americans don't understand. I mean, we only think of one thing when we say the Open. So. But yeah, if you're going to play golf and you want to play golf and that's why you're taking the cruise, I highly recommend Perry Golf in conjunction with Azamara, and that's the way to go.
Yeah.
The others are just kind of add-ons to, okay, yeah, I played golf.
So really, when you think about it, though, the way to think about golfing on a cruise, it's actually an add-on.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
your best advice, if you're thinking of doing that, is to go with either an AmaWaterways or Azamara Perry Golf.
Yeah.
It's probably not something you'd want to attempt to do on your own via an excursion, right, Larry?
I don't recommend it. I mean, it's possible, but there's just so many moving parts. And I mean, you've got tee time, especially in places like Ireland and Scotland, where their tee time system is totally different from ours. And I would just either stick with a ship's excursion, one of these programs, and I really wouldn't try to do it.
Yeah, because you're running the risk of missing the ship.
Absolutely. Yeah, you really are.
When it comes to this availability on board the ship or on board a particular cruise, is there a limit to the amount of places there would be available? For example, Perry Golf, or if you're going to book the Azamara cruise, like there's only so many people that they can actually take?
No, Perry doesn't have any limitations as far as that. Your big consideration, again, is going to be the availability of cabins.
Right.
And as you know, we are starting to book up very rapidly in Europe for next year. So anybody thinking about Scotland or Ireland for next summer, this summer is completely out of the question. But I'm sorry, in 2023, but 2024, if you're thinking about that, you need to go ahead and be booking right now.
So basically, you're considering this, and if you're considering this and golf is on your list of things to do, you're going to want to book at least a year out.
Yeah, exactly. Azamara's cruises only hold 600 passengers, and they book up very, very rapidly. And they're one of the few cruise lines that do these country-intensive cruises where you'll spend the whole 11 days in Ireland or the whole 10 days in Scotland, or a combination of Scotland and Ireland. So again, book early. The limitation is the cabins, not Perry Golf.
So is there any other cruise lines that you know of that offer golfing?
Well, there's golf simulators on a lot of our cruises, and it varies from ship to ship. Princess was doing it for a while, but they've kind of dropped it. It's not a big revenue producer.
Right.
You know, every square foot on a boat is looked at as a revenue space. And so I've seen people dropping the simulators. I believe Regent Seven Seas is still doing it on some of their cruises, and Silver Sea has dropped the golf program completely. So and I tell you what's taking its place is pickleball. Pickleball is becoming the new thing, as opposed to any place on the ship where they can fit a pickleball court. They're doing that now.
It's the latest rage.
Yeah, we are seeing pickleball tournaments. Holland America is doing pickleball cruises. So that's probably going to be the next interview you're going to do with somebody is pickleball.
I'll have to keep that in mind.
Yeah, right.
So with my limited skills as a golfer, would I be comfortable on some of these courses that Perry's offering?
I wouldn't spend the money. I wouldn't spend $700 to go on a round of golf unless I was really pretty good at it, because you're going to spend you're going to have caddies, but you're going to spend a lot of time losing balls at these courses because they are championship style courses.
Right on. So It's
Don't.
you can spend your $700 in a lot better places on that vacation.
Exactly. Yeah, you could do a lot of specialty dining on that.
So when it comes to that, know your limitations.
Exactly. That's very true, Ken.
Well, Larry, this has been absolutely super. Is there anything else you'd like to add about golfing before we wrap up?
No, I think we really covered it. I mean, just to wrap up, you can do it in excursions in the Caribbean and limited places in Europe. But if you're really serious about it, do it with AmaWaterways, Azamara Cruise Lines, and Perry Golf, and that's really the way to do it.
Perfect, perfect. So, Larry, folks want to find out more information about booking an Azamara Perry Golf Cruise or an AmaWaterways River Cruise. What's the best way for them to get hold of you?
The best way is to just go to our website, justcruisinviera.com, where you have expertly provided a space for them to contact us and just shoot us an email. And then, because you're in different time zones, and then, I mean, we get calls from all over the country, and email is the best, then we can get back with you. So just go to justcruisinviera, VIERA.com, and all the information about us and how to contact us is right there.
Perfect, perfect. So for the benefit of our podcast listeners, what's your phone number?
321-242-1331. We have an excellent 24/7 answering machine, and so please just leave us a message, and we return all of our phone calls.
Excellent, excellent. Well, my friend, I always like to ask, because I know traveling and knowing your product is a big part of the game. Where are you guys off to next?
Ken, we're in this coming June. We're going to fly to Stockholm, and we're going to board Regent Seven Seas, one of their cruises. We haven't been on them in about 12 years, so
wow,
we are beginning to specialize in the luxury cruise market, so we need to get back on board and make sure to see how their product is doing. We're going to be cruising around to Finland, Oslo, some places in Latvia and Estonia. I can't pronounce most of them, but that should be interesting. And then we wind up in Copenhagen. But the major reason we're doing this is just to see how Regent Seven Seas is doing, because they are an outstanding luxury cruise line, and I want to compare them to my rules of thumb as far as luxury is concerned, and that's Tauk for river cruises and land, and Silversea for ocean cruises. So that's my golden rule that I compare everybody to.
Perfect. Well, Northern Europe sounds interesting. We'll have to have you back to give us a review of Regent and that cruise. Sound like a plan?
All right. Sounds good. All right.
All right. Well, my friend, with that, I'm just going to wish you safe and happy travels. May the wind always be at your back. And I hope to see you on a Lido deck sometime soon in the future.
Thank you, Ken. It's been a pleasure.
And that about wraps it up for today, folks. A very special thanks to my guest, Larry Jackson of Cruise Holidays of Viera. If you'd like to reach Larry, I will leave his contact information in the description. If you'd like to reach us, simply send a question to questions@realtravelexperts.com. Visit our website, realtravelexperts.com, or leave a comment. We always respond. And as always, folks, if you enjoyed this content, a like, subscribe, and a ring of the bell is certainly appreciated and helps us to spread the word. So until next time, happy travels.